Hey girlies, it's Nevaeh and I'm here to sprinkle my thoughts on you girls. I just wanted to come and make a video and talk about something that I know is going to come off as controversial. I want to talk about the state of the US. I want to talk about working 9 to 5s. I want to talk about food, shelter, clothing, water. I want to talk about people's needs, and I want to talk about how as humans we are being overworked. So let's get into it. I'm gonna just get into it. I know I shied away from topics like this in the past and I was scared to ruffle some feathers, but at this point in my life, I feel like, what I have to say, how I think, how I feel needs to be heard by somebody, and who doesn't agree with me, then. Anyways, let's get into it. So, first off, I want to start off by saying so many people are brainwashed into thinking that their natural born rights are something that they have to work for. And it's so much to unpack in this short little video that I'm gonna make, but to put it short, have you ever heard somebody tell you like the harder you work, the better you are? Or like somebody give you the impression that if you work harder, that makes you a better person, or if you work harder, that means you deserve more. I just wanna say that that is such a toxic way of thinking, and yes, pushing yourself to your limits whenever you're going to the gym or whenever you're trying to meet a goal, it can be good for yourself, but there's points in time when we are over pushing ourselves for the sake of validation of a country, of a system, of people who do not care about us. Sometimes we have people who work and work and work and work for 60 years, push their body to the max, push themselves to the limit, and work harder than people who make way less than them will ever have to work. And I think that there's also like a, education gap. I think that there's like a gap of knowledge of people just not being fortunate enough to realize that you shouldn't have to work so hard for more. And we don't have enough people sharing this knowledge that we have people who will end up working 40 years of their life to not have much to show for it. Yes, retirement is good. Yes, retirement is cool. But why did you work for 40 years of your life, 8 hours, day in and day out, just for your basic needs? Why did you work day in and day out just to be able to afford food, shelter, clothing? And of course, if you have certain jobs, you're able to take trips and you're able to do this, but why are you working all year long for only 2 weeks off? Tell me that's not insane. Tell me it's not insane. I think that we need to start having a conversation about how certain things should be natural born given rights. Human beings should not have to work jobs for food. That should be a natural born given right. If there was no jobs on this earth, if there was if we go back to hundreds and hundreds of years ago, there was once a point in time when people used to pick fruit and eat it, pick veggies and eat it. That's how people were surviving. Now we have a system that has fooled us into thinking that we have to work for our basic needs. People should not have to work for food. People should not have to work for shelter. People should not have to work for water. Those should be, things that are already met. Needs that are already met. If someone is working, that should be an add-on. They should be working maybe for add-ons. Maybe if you want to go and travel the world and see different things, maybe it should be add-ons, and I think that's a whole nother conversation. It's something that I should even educate myself on and get into and see how I feel about that. Like, should people be gifted the opportunity to go and see the world for free? But since I'm not educated on that topic, we're going to talk about what I am. And I know that people should not be having to pay for their food. Why are people paying for food? That is ridiculous. I was watching The Lorax. I don't know if any of you have watched it. But in the movie, it's a little cartoon movie. If you haven't watched it, skip over this little part because I'm going to spoil it. But in the movie, there was a guy who ended up cutting down all of their trees and then making oxygen. And he was selling oxygen to the people. So the people had to buy oxygen from him if they wanted oxygen. Even though there was once upon a time in the movie when the trees were just a given. They were just there. Nobody had to pay for oxygen. It was just a given. And in the end, the people ended up having like a revolution. They ended up coming together and saying, why is this not free? Why is this not a natural given right? Like, we should have oxygen for free. They were fooled into believing that they should pay for oxygen. And that is how we are living right now. We have people fooled into thinking that they need to pay for food, that they need to pay for their natural born given rights. Just by being a human, you are worthy of eating. Period. Period, period, period. Just as a human, you are worthy of food. And they have brainwashed you into thinking that you have to work hard and work hard and work hard and work hard for all of these things. And I'm not saying, this is where I want to also like make sure that I like emphasize this too. I am not saying that you don't have, if you know, are chasing a different kind of life, if you are chasing success, not to keep working, not to keep at it, not to be ambitious. Because for example, I'm in school right now. I'm in school. I want to go back for my master's and I want to be a therapist. And I want to have the money to afford to take my daughter on vacations. I want to have the money to afford to put her in traveling sports if she wants to be in them. And so, of course, I'm going to push myself and I'm going to do things that aren't always easy in the season. Being a parent while working, while going to school is not always easy, on top of trying to make sure I stay on top of my physical health and all these other things. I would consider myself to be very ambitious. And by all that I am saying is not saying don't be ambitious. And I'm not saying to not work the system. Work the system to your advantage. Work it to your advantage. And, you know, obviously put yourself in a position, like set yourself up nicely. But regardless, I just want to bring attention to the fact that people shouldn't have to work so hard to have their basic needs met. They shouldn't have to work so hard to have their basic needs met. And I'm not saying don't be ambitious, don't continue striving for more, but it needs to be a conversation, because we are having too many people work hard for basic needs. So I just want that to be something that we think about, something that we talk about. I want all of us to. I think it needs to be talked about. Like, this needs to be the center of conversation. Whenever you do make it out, or you do become successful, or you are in a better position than where you came from, not to feel like everybody around you should be in that same position and should make it out just because you did. Yes, encourage people. Yes, motivate people. Yes, remind them that they are worthy of more, but never shame somebody and put somebody down for not having what you have, not getting to where you got, and not knowing the steps to take, because this system wasn't set up for people to know how to take the right steps. The system was not set up for people to be successful, for people to, you know, have financial, time, and location freedom. This system was not set up for that. This system was to hold people down, and that is what it is doing. And sometimes to us, to people who are constantly over pushing and overworking our bodies at times, the ones that are staying up late doing college assignments and then having to go to work in the morning, the ones who do things like that, it's so easy when you're in that position to feel like, oh, if I can do it, they can do it. But everyone says we all have the same 24 hours. We don't have the same 24 hours. There's some people who have zero support at all, who are struggling. There's some people whose families don't help them at all. They don't get help whatsoever. There's some people who came from worse than you. And some people that came from worse than you, they might do better than you. But the percentage of people who make it out of these circumstances is so small, because the system was not built for people to make it out of their circumstances. It was built to keep people thinking that they have to work for food, water, shelter. It was built to brainwash people into thinking that their natural born given rights are things that they have to pay and work hard for. So whenever you make it out, whenever you get to where you want to be, when you have that time, location, and financial freedom, don't look down on the people who don't have those things, because some of those people weren't granted the knowledge that you were granted. And yes, maybe you might feel like, well, I didn't always have this knowledge. I sought it out. Okay, but not everybody knows what to seek. You have to be humble, and you have to understand that this is not always a matter of who's lazy and who's not lazy. Sometimes this is a matter of the system brainwashing people into thinking that they have to live a certain way, and these people fall victim to the system because the system is purposely set up to hold them down. Start being more humble. Start thinking about other people, other lives, and understand it is just because you did it, it is not always easy. And I say this knowing that I'm a very ambitious person, that I do things that are not the norm, that I do things that, you know, would be very difficult for other people to do. And I have the understanding too. I know my background is a lot harder than some people's. I know it's more fortunate than some people's, but what I'm saying is it's important that voices like us, who are gifted the knowledge of how the system works and are able to overcome that system, that we don't look down on people who are struggling to overcome it. We need to help each other. We need to have more conversations, more open conversations, while still encouraging people to live as fruitfully as they can. But anyways, that was a lot. I hope that helps somebody. I hope that this spoke to somebody. I'm gonna start making more videos like this. I know in this video I was rambling. A lot of it came from passion. And next time maybe I should jot down my thoughts. But thank you guys for watching. Holla at your girl. Be real or be real.